with their little baby. And part 2 is about Jonathan's grandson, Joseph. Joseph Joestar's chilling in New York. He's an Englishman, but he moves to New York with Granny Arena. And then, he starts off getting pickpocketed by this guy named Smokey, and they protect Smokey and all that. But then, they're just living their life. He's having, like, dinner with Smokey, and then they encounter, like, this racist guy. And then Arena's, you know what? He's like, you know what? Beat him up, Jonathan or Joseph. And he's like, gladly. So he beats him up. He gets at the racist, and Smokey's like, "Oh, thanks, man." Then they're having Smokey and Jonathan and Joseph having dinner, and guess who shows up? Straight so. Oh wait, yeah, I forgot about the epilogue. So the epilogue is it's Speedwagon and Straight So, and they go to this place in Mexico with a bunch of bunch of old men. So they're at this place in Mexico. They want to do this, they're these guys and statues just chilling. They're like carved, pretty much. And then Speedwagon gets like beat up by Straight So, because Straight So's like, I gotta get this mask and become a really strong Hamon vampire. And he becomes a Hamon vampire. And then cut to the dinner with Smokey, with Joseph. Hold on. Gosh, I'm blanking right now. They had the dinner. Straight So pulls up, and then Joseph's like, "What the heck? You killed Speedwagon." And he goes out into the street, and he's like, "Hey, what up?" And then he reveals that he has a drum gun, like, behind him, and he just lights him up. But then he's not dead. He's just a big pile of flesh that apparently is alive. Straight So's alive. Then it cuts to day. He's hiding in the shadows. And then it cuts to night. Then they're fighting at this bridge. It doesn't cut to day. It's still at night. They fight at this bridge. Straight So gets this lady. And then Joseph, beats Straight So by using Hamon, and like he's got a laser. Put the cup. Like they have eye lasers, and they use the cup, and he like reflected back to him. And then Straight So's like in his dying breath, he says, "Go to Mexico. There's a guy there. There's stuff going on there that's important." And he goes there, and then there's like the Nazis are there, and then he's like, the Nazis are guy named Stroheim. He's like just a really scummy guy. At first glance, but then Joseph gets there. Speedwagon's there, like captured, and he's being interviewed. Well, not interviewed, interrogated. And then I'm blanking. He's interrogated. Oh my gosh, he's interrogated. Joseph pulls up, disguised as a lady, so he can get in, but then he beats up the guards. And he gets in there, and they see that they're experimenting on this one guy called a Pillar Man, called Santana. And he has like these really weird like vampire flesh ability kind of thing, where he can like manipulate his flesh and like eat people with his flesh. And then so Joseph gets there, and then he's just he's toying with him, but then he starts to get serious. And then the Santana guy goes inside of Stroheim, and he's like, he goes inside of Stroheim, and then Stroheim blows himself up, and then another dying breath thing, and he's like, go to Italy. There's someone waiting there for you. Go to Italy. Speedwagon Joseph, and they see this guy, Caesar Zappelli. You guessed it, the grandson of William Zappelli, the master of Jonathan. Caesar's all cool. He's personally one of my favorite characters. He's just chilling there. He's like trying to swoon a lady, and Joseph's like, who is this guy? And they fight, but then they're like, we have a common goal. And then they go to Venice to be taught by Lisa, who is a suave, beautiful Hamon lady. What? back to what I was saying. You go to Lisa, the suave Hamon lady. She's like, I gotta teach you guys. So she sends them to this big old tower covered in oil. Because oil is it's just not helpful for the use of Hamon. And they're like, oh, what the crap? We can't, this will be tough. Caesar gets out, I'm pretty sure he just grabs on. Because he puts it in his fingertips. And then Joseph is like, what the? I've never seen that before. And then he starts to do it too. He eventually gets out and it's like his own creative way. Blah, blah, blah. Then they start training more. Oh yeah, Lisa gives Joseph a ventilator to help his Hamon breathing just become more pinpointed and just better. And then the Pillar Men come. Oh wait, did I do that? No, I missed that. They go to. It's in Germany. Yeah. No, after they encounter Caesar, they go to Germany, and then after. Okay, so in Germany with Caesar, Speedwagon, and Joseph, they encounter the big three Pillar Men: Walmu, AC/DC, and Cars. Yeah. And then, they're just really cool. They're buff Aztec guys. And then Joseph picks a fight with I'm pretty sure it was Walmu and AC/DC. And then they're like, you know what, we're gonna put these poisonous rings in your body that'll kill you in 30 days. So get stronger and then we can fight. And then once you beat us, we'll give you the antidote. So then, he fights him. Or he's like, alright, I'll do that. And then that's when they go to Lisa, train at the oil tower. And then after all that, they come back. The Walmu and AC/DC come back. No, not Walmu. No. Wait. Shoot. Trying to attack. No, I'm pretty sure it's just AC/DC. Yeah, it was just AC/DC. And so AC/DC comes, he messes up these two guys called Loggins and Messina. And so Loggins and Messina are the trainer, or like the co-trainers with Lisa. They were like her students. And then I think Joseph was training with Messina, or no, he was training with Loggins, and he gets messed up AC/DC. And then Joseph fights AC/DC, and he has this blood boiling ability where like he uses these like weird like flesh, like these flesh strings to go in Joseph's skin, like make his blood all hot. And then he's like a little thing about AC/DC character is that like he'll cry to like calm down and become like super powerful again, or just like calm himself down. So yeah, he messes up Loggins, and then Joseph fights him. And he thinks he uses like this. He's wearing like a beanie, and it's wool, and wool conducts Hamon, so he uses that to mess up AC/DC. But then when you think he's dead, he's not, because he has like this weird like brain thing attached to Joseph's back. And then he goes back to the villa where they're staying, and then he talks to Susie Q and all that. They're like, hey, what's up, girl? Susie Q is the maid. And then the thing gets attached to Susie Q's back, but neither of them know it. And then Joseph is like, what if I just go peek on Lisa taking a bath? And he's like, oh, nice. That's just a side thing. It's not really important, but it's just fine. So yeah, he does that, and Caesar comes in and is like, why are you spying on Lisa? And then they barge in accidentally. And then that's when Susie Q, taken over by AC/DC's brain thing, attacks. And it's pretty easy to deal with because it's just a body of a frail little girl, and they use like Hamon to make it so she didn't die, but the AC/DC's thing did. So they're like, you know what, we need to attack these guys. They can't be attacking Susie Q. And they go to, pretty sure it's up in, I think it's Switzerland, because the Pillar Men needed this red what's it called? Just this red jewel, the red jewel of Aja or something like that. And Lisa had it. Lisa has it. But and then Cars and all them needed. And Cars and all them needed the thing, so they become the ultimate life form. So then they go to Switzerland because that's where they shipped. Cause that's where AC/DC as Suzy Q shipped the jewel. And they go there, and encounters some Nazis, not important. And then they get to this one place with Cars, and Cars has this. He's wearing like this weird like Blade Runner kind of outfit thing, and he has like this bone blade that's really sick, where it's like made out of a bunch of different like tiny sharp things, and a bunch of little sharp things. That's important. And then they go to where the Germans are chilling there. And Cars is like, well, I count like 3 people in here with my heightened senses. And he does one slice with the bone blade and he kills them all, except for one. He didn't sense Stroheim. Yep, he's back. He's a cyborg using German engineering, and he has like a machine gun in his chest. He's just chilling there. He lights him up, and then Joseph and Caesar hear it. They come over there, and then they start to fight and all that, and then they get the jewel. Cars tries to get the jewel, but then Joseph dives off of it, and then he grabs on the ice with Hamon going off the cliff, because him and Cars both jumped off the cliff to get the jewel. Then eventually Joseph gets it, and he's like, oh, thanks, I only, and then Caesar's like, only you would use something like that. But then Cars somehow survives, because he hits himself off the side, and then he just falls down. And then, okay. So Cars is alive, AC/DC's dead, they have Joseph and all them have the jewel, and then they go to this one, like, just mute them. Yeah. They go to just another chilling spot. Why is everybody not in the real play? So then, they're at the Switzerland place, and then they're chilling there, and Caesar's like, wait, I think Wamu's at that building. And so Joseph says, I know I usually am like a really blunt guy and like does things really quick, but then he's like, nah, I don't think we should attack. I think we should wait till daytime. Yeah, I think we should wait till daytime. That way he's weaker. But then Caesar says we should attack him now because he won't be expecting us, all of us. But then they disagree. Caesar goes in there by himself, and then he starts to fight Wamu. And then Wamu has this thing. He's like he has wind powers. But then Caesar starts to unveil his one power. Where he does like bubble. So they're just fighting all that. Caesar and Wamu reveal their abilities. Oh my gosh. What the? You're at 1 HP. Okay, so, as I was saying, Wamu and Caesar are fighting. Wamu has wind powers. He can like blow. He calls this thing called Divine Sandstorm, where he blows all the stuff. He wrecks. So, and then Caesar uses the bubble lenses, which can reflect light that's coming in from the outside, and it reflects the light, and it hurts Wamu because he's damaged by light. And then Caesar gets rocked by the Divine Sandstorm, like he gets bodied, and he's all bloodied and all that. And then Wamu's like, you are beaten down, you can't fight me any longer. And then Caesar's like, he climbs up the stairs, because they're in like this house, and he's like, he slips on his blood, but then he grabs the lip ring that is used to heal the poison on the ring that Joseph has. And Wamu's like, you're a really honorable soldier, you did that all for your friend. And then he decides, what does he do? He just honors him, but then like he just decides to stop fighting him. But then Caesar's just chilling there. And he's like, Jojo, take the last of my Hamon. He does the same thing that William did to Jonathan, and then he puts his Hamon into a blood bubble thing, and then he gives it to. It's just there, and then this big old limestone block falls from the ceiling, and it crushes him, and it's really sad. A bunch of sad Italian opera music is playing, and then Joseph and Lisa come in at just, the wrong time, and he's already dead. And they're like, where is he? And then they see this bubble, and it has his headband, because Caesar wears a headband. He's wearing a headband, and it has a bubble with the headband, and then he's like, he says, oh gosh, this is his thing. And he's like, where is he? And he looks at the blood pouring out of under the rock. And he's like, he was crushed by it. Lisa starts like crying because you never, and like it's crazy because you never really see her reveal any emotions. And then Joseph is like, Lisa, your cigarette is backwards. And I just start crying because they realize that Caesar made a sacrifice for Joseph, and he's dead. Like he's no longer there. You can't help him with the Pillar Men anymore. And it's really sad. It's fun. It's the saddest death I enjoyed, honestly. Yeah, it's just really sad. Okay, so Caesar's dead, Wamu is damaged, and then Joseph takes the antidote that Caesar sacrificed himself for. And they march on into the house, and they encounter this random Hamon monster, and it's really weak. Lisa uses her scarf that she wears to just wrap him up and rocks him. Not important. But then they get into the main part of the building where Kars and Wamu are chilling, and then or they get to the main part where they're just chilling. Shoot, come on, why is it always real people? Shoot, no. Oh no! Being pinched. Okay, so, as I was saying, they go into the building, Cars in there, is like, Cars and Wamu are just chilling there, and they look around the room and they're like, oh my gosh, there's a bunch of different these zombies things here. Oh my gosh. I need to stop talking. I need to finish this part. I can keep. Okay. So, in the main room, Cars and Wamu are there. Cars has the bone blade, Wamu has the wind powers. And then Lisa and Joseph are like, alright, well, you're just by yourself. But then they see like this light reflecting a bunch of different zombies and like, you know what, this isn't the way to go out. So they decide to have like this wager fight thing where Wamu and Joseph will fight, and then Lisa and Cars will fight, and then okay, so then Joseph and Wamu start to fight, and they're fighting at a coliseum with two weapons of choice. Like it's a crossbow with a really heavy bolt, or a light, or what is it? Like it's a crossbow with a heavy bolt, and I think it's like a hammer that's really light, or a crossbow that's really light. And then Joseph's like, well, what if I choose the heavy one, right? And they're on horseback, they're fighting. First, it's just to death. And Joseph's like, what if I choose the heavy one, right? Like, I have to. And then he does that, and then Wamu's like, he's like, that's dumb. And then Joseph realizes that it's really hard to pull back, and it's just an unusable weapon. And then, it's so quiet. They start to fight. Joseph's like, oh, I can't pull this back. Wamu's like, ha ha ha. And he bops them with it, and then they just keep adding more weapons. I don't really remember the specific ones. I haven't watched the part in a while. But they start. Oh, I still doing it right now. No. Okay, so they start the fight, and then push comes to shove, and then eventually, like something happens with Wamu. Like his eyes become unusable, so he just stabs his eyes out and uses the wind to see things, and then eventually, Joseph cuts Wamu's head off with like an oil and Hamon charge. He uses Caesar's headband that he was wearing, and he like dips it in oil and turns it on fire, and then he like puts Hamon into it, and he just cuts Wamu's head off with it. And Wamu's like, you're an honorable soldier, you're a really cool guy, you're cool. I respect good soldiers. And then he's like, yeah, and he like does like a salute fist thing to the sky. He respects him. Blah blah blah. Okay, now it's on the Cars and Lisa's fight, and they fight at this random like I stink. They fight at this open area, and then Cars is like, what up, what up? And then so they're fighting. Lisa puts like she like keeps her sunglasses on. I think she like takes her scarf off, maybe something like that. And then the Germans show up and they're like, "Well, hold off the zombies while you fight all them," and all that happens. So then Lisa and Cars are fighting, and then Lisa fights fights Cars. Then he reveals that it's not Cars, it's actually a zombie that's disguised to look like Cars. And then she gets just rocked by Cars. Ah! So they're fighting. So then, what the heck is that? So then Lisa gets stabbed by Cars, and then he's like, he plays her leg like a guitar, not important, all that. And then Joseph's like, what the flip? And then Speedwagon is talking to Smokey, because they're both there with the Germans, because the Germans are using like the UV lights to defend against the, and then Speedwagon's like, guess what, Smokey? Lisa is Joseph's mom. Lisa is the baby that was, that, you remember when I told you guys that Arena was holding like a baby on the carriage there on the boat? Yep, that's Lisa. And then Lisa was actually raised by Straight-So, because Ariana was too old to care for a baby. And then she starts to, she marries, because Ariana was pregnant, I forgot to tell you that too. Ariana was pregnant on the boat, and then she marries Ariana's son, George Joestar. But then, George Joestar was a pilot. He was like one of the first pilots. And then he gets killed by this, one of the zombies that survived, and became like literally like a war general somehow. And he gets killed by that, and Lisa was like, you know, I'm gonna devote my life to the study of Haman. And then Straight-So takes her under her wing, all that jazz. That's all like told literally when Lisa is like dying. And then Joseph pulls up, and he beats him down, beats Cars down. Cars is like chilling on the ground, and then they're about to use the UV lights on it, but then he pulls out the redstone of Aja somehow, puts it on, and becomes the ultimate life form. An ultimate life form Cars is basically just like he can manipulate his body to become like any animal. So then he has like a squirrel arm, and he's immune to the sunlight too. That's important. And then Cars is like, or no, Joseph's like, you know what? I have a plan for this. What if we just run away? And then Smokey's like, you can't possibly be serious. And he's like, well, I am. And they literally just run away. So they get to like this edge of a cliff, and then there's a plane. There's a plane, and he's like, what if I just use this plane to fly away? And then he flies away. Where is this guy? No way! You're at 4! I've been dying to this. People at low HP. Okay, so then, Ultimate Life from Cars, Joseph. No. So then Cars. So, Cars is Ultimate Life from Cars, Joseph's in a plane. It's like, well, let's just fly away. And he's like, okay. And then Cars chases after him because he has wings. And then, he's flying, and then he uses his wings and shoots them at him, and they become like piranhas. Joseph's like, what the frick? What the heck is that? And then, flying, they go to a volcano, and then they start to spar, but then Cars gets pushed into the lava, and then Joseph's like, we won. But then he actually covers himself in, I think it's crab shell and like part of like some turtle stuff, just stuff that was resistant to the lava somehow, because it wasn't like exactly hot it wasn't hot lava, it was basically just like magma, which is a little bit cooler, I think, something like that. And then he's like, we won, but then Cars is like, nope, psych, and then he comes up, slices Joseph's hand off, and he's like, what that was Hamon, and then apparently just somehow, because he's alive, he can use Hamon, or like, he channels Joseph's to go against him. But then the thing erupts, a piece of the rock flies up, Joseph fights. He kicks cars into space, and then cars goes flying into space, and he just stops thinking and becomes just a rock. But then people think that Joseph's dead. They go, last episode's at a funeral, and they're like, oh no, Joseph's dead. But then Joseph's like, psych, what's this funeral for? It's because Susie Q forgot to send a telegram because, Joseph and Susie Q are dating, and she's like, I forgot to send a telegram. And they all thought that he was dead. So yeah, that's part 2. Oh my gosh, that hurt my throat.